Catalyze, at its very core, is a learning contract, and we are here to learn. And everyone on the USAID and Palladium teams have really emphasized we need to learn what we do, because what's happening in Sri Lanka affects what happens in Peru. What we can do in South Africa works in Indonesia. So this is why it's so critically important that we all come together and we work in every sector in every part of the globe. It's incredibly important that we bring all those global lessons together, but we bring it together in a local context.
CATALYZE has two major buckets of results that are required, and those are around private capital mobilized and learning about blended finance. The reason that private capital mobilization and blended finance all became huge things in the development have to do with the assessment that was done, which found that in order to bring global poverty rates down and substantially address development challenges, that was going to take more resources than all the donor countries were putting into development program. Right? And the insight was that we need the private sector. We need private investment alongside public sector investment in order to achieve that value, in order to achieve development outcomes.
Throughout today's learning event, you're going to be hearing a lot about these pay-for-results incentives, and you might be wondering why we focus so much on these. Really, the answer to that question is twofold. First, we found that these tools are really powerful in achieving results. And second, it's because we really want the work and the relationships that we've established under CATALYZE to continue well after we leave. We can motivate actors to try new ways of doing business. And because we're really zeroing in on where there are market opportunities, it's the most likely way for sustainable development, solutions that are led by local actors, really regardless of the country, the sector, or the target population. So what's becoming increasingly clear, I think, as we take stock of what we've learned over the past few years, is that in our really technical assistance-heavy activities, results-based contracting to civil society is the model that's working the most and that we're using the most. But when large-scale capital mobilization is the goal, it's really pay-for-results mechanisms and relationships with local entities that are facilitating and providing finance that's truly coming in big.
The lesson we learned in our engagement with SMEs that the SME businesses are not as risky as bankers perceive, because as I mentioned it earlier, we financed more than 165 SMEs within 6 months. The repayment is more than 95%, which is really great. Even when you see the SMEs growing and improving, that is also one motivating factor for us.
When we talk about blended finance, that really applies when it comes to education. And I think that USAID is really aware of that. They've been aware of that for decades, but it's really crystallizing with the education finance work.
One theme that has emerged across all of the conversation today that's really stood out to me is the importance of localization in our solutions. CATALYZE is a global platform, but as we structure our programs, and indeed our most successful programs, have been those that have taken a strong local lens, looked to local partners, understood the root causes of the challenges we're addressing, and built our interventions around it. It underscores how important it is for us to undertake those rapid market assessments and to really engage with the private sector, sit across from them at the table and talk about what are their priorities, what are their strengths, in order to make sure that we're addressing the challenges and priorities that are aligned with local needs.
And so we've got to have blended finance, we've got to have access to private capital alongside public sector capital. The reason I think that's really well paired with learning is that learning is another force multiplier. The ability for us to do the work under CATALYZE, to reflect on it, to learn and adapt within a program, to learn and adapt across programs, and for us to communicate out what we've learned to the rest of the community is another way for us to leverage those resources we put into it more effectively, and so that we can achieve results beyond any individual activity, beyond the CATALYZE portfolio, and beyond USAID. Is going to be intentional learning and communicating what we've learned, what we've achieved, and how we've achieved it, who we've achieved it with. That's how we're going to ensure that we have yet another way to plow more resources into development